Hey there, Chinaman Sports. Today, I'm going to make a video grading all the free agents from this offseason, just in case it's long in the future. This is 2021, folks. Anyways, if there's any background noise, I'm sorry. The wind is whipping today. But anyways, for the free agents, my grading basically is just on their contract, fit, need. So you might have a player who's like on Madden be a 75, but I'll put an A on it just because, for the amount of the contract and the role they could play. I hope you get where I'm coming from. Anyways, and today I'll start with Leonard Williams. And for Leonard Williams, I gave the signing a B. If it was a 5 or 6 year, I would have gave it a B minus C. But this is long and drawn out, and it was just a huge contract deal worth $21 million over 3 years. And this is one of the Gettleman's. It's a good player and it's good to hear, but we kind of ended up having to overpay just because of the situation with trade and bringing him over here. So it's a bit of an overpay in my opinion. Williams only had one other season over 6 sacks other than last year. So listen, I'm not too worried about the sack production as long as he gets a decent amount. Even if the sacks don't show up, Williams isn't like a bust type of player. So, he's pretty damn good in the run game. He's going to be in the top 5 in quarterback pressures every year. It's just what kind of player he is. And if Williams, can't put some sacks together during this deal, it obviously won't look too good in the end. But overall, he's a good player. He was a must resign. And, Gettleman couldn't let him walk. I know Leonard Floyd was going to come over, possibly. That would have been one route where we get our good edge guy, and Gettleman could have possibly let him walk. But no Leonard Floyd, Leonard Williams. Let's go. B. And on a Danny Shelton, and I gave this move a B+. Danny Shelton is a mammoth man, and I believe he can fill in for Dalvin quite well. He'll at least give you a good anchor in the middle, and you can't beat the contract. For all the reports I read, if they're true, Shelton is reported to only be making like $2 million next season, so chump change, right? But I give Danny Shelton move a B+. And on the John Ross, I gave John Ross move a B+, because I mean, honestly, this is one of my favorite signings this offseason. The deal is a high reward, and if it don't work out, then it don't hurt the team in any way, really. Like the contract was like $2.5 million. I'm not sure the guarantees out of it. That's probably somewhere like around $1 million and a half guaranteed. But you never know what kind of production you can get out of Ross, if he can stay healthy. And if the Giants can get 4 or 5 touchdowns out of him, obviously it was worth bringing him in here. On to Ryan Anderson, outside linebacker, and I gave him a C-. I view this signing as a depth piece. Ryan Anderson, he ain't going to give you 10 sacks, but I think he can give you 4 or 5. He can play the run well. I'm not sure he's guaranteed to win a spot on this team. If Cam Brown and Carter Coughlin beat him out in camp, I'm not sure he'll have a spot on the team. Them guys are project guys, so he'll probably end up on their roster, but who knows. C- for Ryan Anderson. Alright, and the next free agent signing, probably going to have a hard time saying his name. I believe it's Ifeadi Odenigbo. Listen, I give it a B+. And, this is another one, a great signing for me. I like the kid. He seems like a hard worker, very smart. He's going to have to learn to rush standing up. And I believe that's the role he's going to have. I watched his interview he did on your Giants channel. But, I think he'll adjust just fine. And he did a good bit of rushing quarterback from the inside last year, filling in for some injuries over there. So I could see him doing good on, stunts and where he's got to run into the middle and freeing up, for other players. He did slim down in the offseason, so I think that should help him. And if he wins out in camp, I wouldn't be shocked if he had, honestly, like an 8 to 10 sack season if he ended up being full-time outside. I think he's capable of it. And I'm sure that Coach Graham can get, every last drop out of him. On to Adoree Jackson, I gave this an A. This was probably my favorite signing entire offseason. I'm not going to talk about Adoree too much because, I have a whole video on it, but again, this is just my favorite signing of the offseason. He's the kid. First off, the kid's fast. And the signing will allow Coach Graham to game plan against speed wide receivers and allow the defense to play, man coverage on third downs. So I expect to see a lot more blitzes next year. On to Zach Fulton and offensive guard, I gave a grade of C+ here. I think Fulton was brought in here to be a depth piece, and I think it'd be a good depth piece. I mean, if there's an injury to guard, I feel comfortable with Fulton stepping in there, for a few games. And, honestly, there's not much of a drop-off from, starting guards to Fulton. So I think Gettleman is going to draft a guard early this year, so I'm not sure he'll see the field next season, but good depth pickup piece nonetheless. And on to Mike Glennon, quarterback, I gave this move a B. I think this was an underrated signing, honestly. Glennon is better than Colt McCoy, and honestly came at a much cheaper price. So, he's got a big arm, which you need late in the year in New York. We've all seen it. It's windy, the weather's horrible. Glennon has a ton of experience as well. I think it's always a good move to get an upgraded backup quarterback. Not only does it, if your quarterback gets hurt, gives you a better chance to win, but on the scout team, it pushes the defense, it makes, gives them more of a challenge, which makes them, more prepped and ready for the next opponent. So, yeah, I gave this move a B. And on to CJ Board, wide receiver. I gave this a B+. The Giants had to bring CJ back, in my opinion. He was a pretty reliable target last season. I think one game he even started at wide receiver number 3. But CJ actually was, up there as one of the highest rated wideouts by PFF, which was, weird, but I'm not sure what's going on with PFF over there. But, he's not going to blow off the top of a defense, but he's a good route runner, and I think you can trust him, catch the ball, if it's where it needs to be. So, great depth signing, and he deserves to be back for at least one more year. On to Austin Johnson, and defensive tackle, I gave this a B+. And Austin Johnson was another player that held his own, in limited snaps last season. His best game was against the Rams. I think he had a really nice sack. He just instantly blew up the quarterback with Jared Goff. And, on a run play, he tucked his head down or got the helmet on the ball, caused a fumble. I think he's a solid backup defensive tackle, and I trust him to start for a few game stretch, if there's injuries. Another great depth piece. The next guy is Colin Gillespie, fullback. I gave it a C just because I'm not quite sure, what I think of this signing, and I never seen Colin play, to be honest, but from my research, he'll be a special teams player exclusively, and since I don't know much, I'll just trust the coach and say he'll at least be average or whatever role, he'll have. Next, Kyle Rudolph, tight end, and I gave this an A. I love this move. Again, I don't want to go too in depth because I made an entire video on Rudolph, but this is probably my favorite signing other than Adoree. Rudolph should get Daniel Jones' security blanket, and there's a huge advantage to have down in the red zone. So he should be great in the Garrett offense. Don't get me wrong, listen, he's not on Jason Witten's level back in the day, but they are very similar. And Kyle might even be a little quicker, to be honest with you, but love this signing. Great signing. He's also a big plus, down in the red zone area. Next is Reggie Ragland, middle linebacker. I gave this move a C+. I like the signing for depth, but he also was signed for league minimum, so you can't beat that, honestly. And Ragland is a decent middle linebacker. He's decent at rushing the quarterback from the middle. Coach Graham should have fun finding packages to get Reggie on the field. So this sign should mark the end of the dreaded Devontae Downs. Let's hope Devontae Downs never steps on the field on defense. On special teams, Downs can play all day, but he was awful last season. He was bad in almost everything. He would take bad angles, miss tackles regularly. On my channel, it was a regular disappointment. Devontae Downs gets a D+. I'd give him an F, but he's okay on special teams, I guess. So I'm not sure if he makes the team this year. We'll see if he does. It'll be for special teams exclusively. And next, Casey Crater, long snapper. And I just give this an A+. Casey's one of the best long snappers in the NFL. And I gave Casey an A+ because I needed to hand out at least one A+. And no one gets love at long snapper. But we all hate them when they just, they can make every perfect snap in just one play and we all dog them. So, A+. Not sure if he's deserving, but I'm doing it anyways. Next is Devontae Booker, running back. I gave this move a C+. So Gettleman has been kind of catching hell for this signing, and I get it. I get why people are not happy, but I really like the player, to be honest with you. And Booker, he's an all-around running back, and is definitely an upgrade over Wayne Gallman. Listen, I appreciate what Gallman did for us last year, but he's always been a fumbler, and it seems like he fumbles in the worst times, the red zone at the end of games. Also, Gallman wasn't the greatest back, catching passes out of the backfield. The money was a little high for Booker, but it will be worth it. Saquon can't go for a few game stretch or something like that. It'll pay off. Next is Kenny Golladay, and I gave this move a B-. I want to start with I love the player, and I'm not sure if he's a true number one wide receiver. I think he can get you touchdowns like a number one wide receiver, so I'm not too worried, about it. We all know this was like a must signing. We needed to get a good wide receiver this offseason. The reason I didn't give the signing an A is because of the deal. If the money could have been spread out over, the whole contract, it would have been around $18 million a year or something like that. I wouldn't mind that. But with all the money being pushed into the next few seasons, this is going to be getting up there. He's going to be paid like a top 5 wideout, and I just don't view him like that. So after this season, he'll be making like $21 million for the next 3. That's a lot of money. That's a big cap hit. That's like 10% of the cap here starting next year. He could come out, catch 15 touchdowns next season, and I'll look like an asshole. But let me tell you something. Nothing would make me happier to eat crow on this and look like an asshole. So I'll say that. So overall, this was a great free agency. Gettleman, plugged a bunch of holes and really pushed the team out of rebuild mode, and to the point where the roster is almost complete outside, a few positions, edge rusher, offensive line. But with a draft in a few weeks, Gettleman could really complete this roster, with a few hits in the first few rounds. And we've seen Gettleman get some hits late in the round, so you never know. This offseason showed me how much you can really work the cap and move money. It's kind of crazy. And, going into free agency, I thought we'd make one big signing. Boy, was I mistaken. If it was a regular offseason and we had a bunch of money, I'd give this year's free agency an A. But with the cap going down and the critical needs on the team filled, I'm going to go out and just do it and give it an A+. No joke. I mean, this was an impressive offseason for where we were cap-wise. And we still got the draft to go on top of it. So, that's it for me. Peace. Oh, like and subscribe, of course.